Hey, Steelers Nation. We're back with an exclusive video packed with the latest updates on our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll never miss any exclusive updates or exciting Steelers news. DK Metcalf has once again become the center of controversy in the NFL, but this time it's not about his incredible speed, his towering catches, or the highlight reel touchdowns that have made him a household name. Rumors have started swirling around the league that Metcalf might have crossed a line during a recent clash with the Dallas Cowboys, and insiders suggest this incident could have far-reaching consequences. Sources say that what started as a heated exchange on the field escalated into a verbal confrontation that left multiple players stunned and officials scrambling to maintain control. While the NFL has strict codes of conduct, especially when it comes to player interactions during games, Metcalf's reputation as a fiery competitor might have worked against him this time. Observers close to the situation are saying that this could trigger an internal investigation that might impact not only his standing with his team, but also his public image. Analysts are debating whether this is a one-off moment of frustration or a sign of a growing pattern of behavior that could define Metcalf's career off the field. The tension between players has always been part of football's narrative, but when a star like Metcalf is involved, every gesture, every word, and every reaction is magnified by the media, fans, and the league itself. There's speculation among sports commentators that this verbal altercation was more than just a few heated words shouted in the heat of the moment. Insiders hint that Metcalf might have directly challenged one of the Cowboys' key players, creating a scene that left teammates on both sides trying to de-escalate the situation. While the NFL typically monitors player conduct, this incident reportedly triggered immediate attention from league officials who were concerned about the potential for escalation. Fans on social media were quick to dissect the clips that surfaced online, analyzing every movement, every tone, and every gesture in an attempt to figure out the context and intent behind Metcalf's actions. Theories are flying, with some suggesting this was a strategic mind game, an attempt to intimidate or distract, while others argue it was a spontaneous eruption of pent-up frustration. There's even chatter that coaches on both teams might have been caught off guard, with some questioning whether Metcalf's competitive nature was allowed to boil over in a way that wasn't properly managed. The broader discussion now centers on whether Metcalf behavior could set a precedent, influencing how other players approach on-field confrontations, or whether this will simply be written off as an isolated, intense moment in the heat of the game. The timing of this incident has only fueled speculation about its significance, especially because Metcalf has been performing at an incredibly high level, and the league has been keenly focused on player conduct as a whole. Analysts suggest that if the NFL decides to pursue disciplinary action, it could involve fines, mandatory meetings, or even suspensions depending on how severe they determine the verbal aggression to have been. Sources close to the situation indicate that team management might also face pressure to address this internally, as the public perception of Metcalf could influence sponsorships, endorsements, and overall fan support. There's an ongoing debate about whether such incidents are merely part of the high-stakes environment of professional football, where emotions run high, or if this truly represents a breach of the league's code of conduct. The narrative surrounding Metcalf's temperament has become increasingly complex, with fans and commentators divided between those who admire his competitive fire and those who worry that it might be leading him into controversial territory. Some speculate that this incident could mark a turning point, a moment where Metcalf has to balance his intensity with the expectations of professionalism that the NFL demands, and everyone from coaches to league officials is watching closely to see what comes next. Whispers around locker rooms and sports media suggest that Metcalf's confrontation might have been fueled by a series of prior provocations that weren't widely reported. Sources claim that tensions have been building for weeks, possibly even months, with subtle exchanges and minor scuffles escalating incrementally until this more visible confrontation occurred. Analysts note that athletes like Metcalf, who thrive on intensity and dominance, sometimes allow competitive energy to spill over in ways that can become controversial. Fans are speculating endlessly about what exactly was said, with social media platforms flooded by memes, theories, and debates dissecting the confrontation's implications. There's talk that Cowboys players involved were equally passionate and that the exchange may have been more mutual than one-sided, but the narrative has clearly positioned Metcalf at the center of attention. Sports psychologists are chiming in, suggesting that the high-pressure environment combined with Metcalf's aggressive drive might be a recipe for moments like this, where verbal aggression becomes an outlet for competitive stress. While the public only sees the tip of the iceberg, insiders hint that there's a deeper story about interpersonal dynamics, rivalry, and the psychological intensity of NFL matchups that few fans ever truly grasp. Rumors suggest that league officials are reviewing footage meticulously, possibly considering precedent from past incidents involving star players who crossed the line during games. Sources say that internal discussions are focusing not only on what was said, but also on how Metcalf's conduct might influence younger players who look up to him. The speculation is that the NFL is weighing the impact on the league's image, fan perception, and the message it sends about acceptable behavior on the field. Experts are suggesting that Metcalf's response in the coming days will be critical. Whether he addresses the incident publicly, issues an apology, or allows his actions to speak through his performance on the field. Meanwhile, sports commentators are debating the likelihood of escalated rivalry between the Seahawks and Cowboys, with some hinting that this verbal confrontation could be the spark for more intense interactions in future matchups. Fan engagement is at an all-time high, with Twitter threads, YouTube commentary, and sports talk shows dissecting the potential fallout from Metcalf's actions. Everyone seems to agree on one thing. The NFL did not see this coming, and the consequences, whatever they may be, are going to be a story to watch closely as it unfolds. Finally, speculation continues about how this incident could redefine DK Metcalf's narrative in the NFL, shifting the focus from his athletic prowess to his intensity and willingness to engage in verbal confrontations. Insiders hint that this might be a test of his maturity and professionalism, particularly as teams and fans scrutinize not just his performance, but also his ability to navigate high-pressure situations without crossing boundaries. Theories abound that the Seahawks coaching staff could implement new strategies to manage Metcalf's intensity, balancing his fiery competitive drive with the need to maintain composure and avoid league sanctions. Meanwhile, rival teams, particularly the Cowboys, might view this as an opportunity to test Metcalf further, potentially exploiting any perceived volatility to gain a psychological edge in future games. Analysts also suggest that media coverage will amplify every word and action he takes, meaning that Metcalf's response, both on and off the field, could define public perception for months to come. Fans are left divided, with some celebrating his unfiltered passion and others worried about the implications of verbal confrontations in an already physically demanding sport. In any case, the story of DK Metcalf and this controversial incident is far from over, and the next steps, whether they involve disciplinary action, public statements, or strategic adjustments, are likely to dominate headlines and social media discussions for a long time. Sources close to the situation are suggesting that DK Metcalf's verbal confrontation with a Dallas Cowboys player could have far-reaching implications for his relationships within the league, not just with opponents, but potentially with referees, teammates, and even his own coaching staff. Insiders speculate that the NFL may view this incident as a test case for how star players balance competitive intensity with league standards of conduct, creating tension between performance expectations and disciplinary oversight. Analysts are theorizing that Metcalf's outspoken nature might attract both criticism and admiration, potentially polarizing fans and commentators alike. Some believe that this could mark the beginning of a narrative in which Metcalf is seen as a mercurial talent, capable of transcendent plays on the field, but also unpredictable in high-pressure moments. There's chatter that the Seahawks management might be considering strategies to mitigate future incidents, perhaps through internal counseling, stricter in-game monitoring, or even public relations initiatives designed to shape how this episode is perceived by the wider NFL audience. Meanwhile, rival teams, particularly the Cowboys, are reportedly studying the footage extensively, trying to gauge Metcalf's temperament and determine whether his intensity can be exploited in future matchups, adding an extra layer of psychological gamesmanship to the rivalry. The speculation suggests that even if the incident does not result in immediate disciplinary action, the ripple effects could influence Metcalf's interactions, his reputation, and the way he is coached and managed in upcoming games. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers among commentators indicate that DK Metcalf's altercation might not be isolated, but rather part of a larger, ongoing dynamic in which his fiery competitiveness occasionally spills over into confrontational behavior. Analysts are speculating that Metcalf thrives on intensity and psychological warfare, pushing not just himself, but opponents to their limits, and that this incident could be an extreme manifestation of that approach. Sources suggest that the Cowboys player involved may have unintentionally provoked Metcalf, though the details remain murky, leaving room for endless interpretation and debate. Social media has exploded with theories about what exactly triggered the verbal exchange, with some fans arguing it was purely strategic, a calculated move to unsettle a rival, while others suggest it was an unfiltered outburst born of pure emotion. Experts are weighing the possibility that such behavior, if not properly managed, could set a precedent for future on-field confrontations, encouraging other players to push boundaries in high-stakes games. There's also speculation about how Metcalf's teammates reacted behind the scenes, with some sources hinting that locker room dynamics may now be under closer scrutiny to ensure that competitive fire does not disrupt team cohesion. As the NFL closely monitors the situation, the speculation surrounding Metcalf's temperament and professional boundaries continues to grow, fueling endless debate about how far competitive edge should go before crossing into controversial territory. Adding another layer to the rumors, some insiders are suggesting that DK Metcalf's verbal confrontation could influence negotiations around his contracts and endorsements. Analysts are hinting that brands may be weighing the benefits of associating with a high-profile, attention-grabbing athlete against the potential risks of negative publicity stemming from behavior deemed aggressive or inappropriate. Sources indicate that the Seahawks front office is acutely aware of the stakes, not only in terms of league perception, but also regarding the financial implications of Metcalf's actions. Observers speculate that if this incident is deemed serious, it might prompt internal reviews and even discussions about behavioral clauses in future contracts, ensuring that Metcalf's on-field intensity is balanced with off-field professionalism. Meanwhile, sports psychologists are reportedly studying the incident as a case example of how elite athletes manage stress, provocation, and high-pressure scenarios, with speculation that Metcalf's reactions could reveal insights into his mental approach to competition. Fans are divided, with some praising his fearless nature and refusal to back down, while others warn that unchecked aggression, even verbal, could escalate into physical confrontations or damage his legacy. The narrative being constructed around this episode is rich with speculation, uncertainty, and anticipation, leaving the football world eager to see how the situation will unfold in the coming weeks. Further rumors suggest that league officials are exploring ways to address this situation quietly, potentially opting for private warnings or mediated sessions rather than public punishment, in order to avoid inflaming tensions between star players and teams. Analysts argue that the NFL may be walking a fine line, balancing the need to maintain control and uphold standards with the understanding that players like DK Metcalf are central to fan engagement, ticket sales, and television ratings. There's chatter that the Cowboys organization is closely watching the response, considering how to prepare their roster for future matchups against Metcalf, who may now be seen as more unpredictable and psychologically formidable. Meanwhile, some insiders speculate that this verbal confrontation could serve as a turning point, where Metcalf either channels his fiery intensity into controlled leadership on the field or risks becoming a polarizing figure whose behavior overshadows his athletic achievements. Social media speculation continues to dominate public discourse, with thousands dissecting every available video clip, analyzing body language, tone of voice, and possible provocations, fueling debates that range from psychological strategy to personal accountability. The narrative around Metcalf is now framed as more than athletic prowess. It's a story about character, temperament, and the fine line between passion and confrontation in professional sports. Rumors insist that the NFL is treating this as a precedent-setting moment, the ramifications of which could influence how player conduct is monitored and managed for years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.